Hello and welcome once again to another exciting episode of Ghettofabulous Kings of War. Today we're going to talk about a battle. 2,000 points, my Goblins versus a local player named Henry's Abyssals. Scenario is Pillage. This is my first game of 3rd edition, so I was looking forward to this. My list, something else to look forward to. I've been dreaming about this list for quite some time. I finally got a crap load of Fleabag riders painted up, so I could at least field it and not be too embarrassed with the paint job. So, 1 Rabble Horde, 2 Rabble Regiments, 1 with the Scrying Gem, 2 Sniff Regiments, 2 Fleabag Rider Regiments, both with Maw Pups, 1 with Potion of the Caterpillar, 1 with the Pipes of Terror, and then a Fleabag Horde with Maw Pups and the Boots of Striding, 3 Mincers, a Flaget with Loot on a Fleabag, 2 Kings on Chariot, 1 with the Blade of the Beast Slayer, 1 with the Mace of Crushing, and a Wiz with Inspiring and Banechant. So the thought process, if it's not readily apparent, is to heavily out-deploy my opponent with the Scrying Gem and then a couple throwaway units like the Rabble and the Mincers. And then use maneuverability to swarm one side or the other. Alpha Strike with multiple Fleabag units and Kings on Chariot charging, along with some Banechanting action. With Vicious now being standard for Fleabags, that helps even more. Especially, Thunderous 1, Banechant, and Vicious. You can do pretty reliable damage with it. And the Maw Pups just add a few more points of damage in there as well. So that was the thought process. We will see how it works. For my opponent, I'm not super familiar with Abyssals. I've played them a couple times. I'm pretty sure this is close. He may have had a few spells or items, but this is close to it. A Horde of Lower Abyssals with a little healing imp dude. A Legion of Larvae with the Healing Brew, a Regiment of Succubi, a Troop of Gargoyles, I think it must be a Regiment of Abyssal Horsemen, and then a Horde of Molochs, 2 Abyssal Fiends, which I was surprised. Was not expecting them, so kind of like, I guess kind of a cheap giant with Fireball. Archfiend of the Abyss, which is more was expecting, a big flying demon thing. An Efreet, and then an Abyssal Warlock with Banechant and Inspiring. You may have heard the hesitation in my voice. As I was talking about the Archfiend of the Abyss, I was like, wait, maybe it wasn't quite that. It wasn't quite. It was actually a character. The Manifestation of Baal. So kind of a slightly weaker Archfiend of the Abyss with Lightning Bolt. So pretty similar, but slightly different. So I didn't update my slide there, but that's what it is. It's the manifestation character. Here is the battlefield. And Pillage, I believe we had 5 tokens, as you can see. So terrain was a little sparse. We had a 40k event going on, so a ton of it was taken up. These flat pieces here are all forests. This is a forest too, so there's 4 chunks of forest. None of them are huge, but still a decent amount. There's this tree here, which is impassable, along with these rocks and the other tree. You can kind of see there's something behind this tree that's actually a hill. And this over here is a hill as well. They're very, very low, which actually, it's not as cinematic, but it works better because you're not trying to balance your people on the edges. So, there's a bit of decision you have to make on function over form. 2 obstacles, and then there's a large hill over here as well. As for the tokens, and I'd like to try to talk a little bit about strategy. So actually placing tokens is kind of important in this one. There's 5 tokens. He won the roll-off to place first, which also means he gets to place last. He placed his, boom, right here in the middle. My army has more units, more scoring units, and more mobility. So my general game plan was to spread out. So I put mine way over here. He put his next one here. So now I'm kind of stuck. If I'm trying to spread out, I can put one. I mean, I could put one way over here, but now realistically, if I try to put it over here, there's 3 fairly close together to the middle, and it's a natural place for a smaller army like his to just gravitate and hold these. But if I place one far, I've got to go into one of the deployment zones, and I place one here, which is where I did. Theoretically, he could have placed another one maybe here, and gambled that, or I don't know, maybe in here somewhere, gambled that maybe he could win the roll-off for side, and then pick the one with 2 on it already, and just start with an advantage. But I thought he might not be the gambling type, so I placed it deep here, and he placed his final one over here. As far as the board and terrain goes, a lot of terrain. It's going to hinder everybody. Probably me more, since I have more units, and they're going to get clustered in the way. My thought process was, I think I want this lower table half. I want to split his army and slow it down. And realistically, there's not a lot of slowing terrain on this side. All the stuff to slow things down, 2 forests, 3 forests, are really kind of on this side. An obstacle. Whereas this half is pretty easy. So I can maneuver quickly in here and then set up strikes into his half. This rock and this tree in the middle will really hinder him if I get this side. If he's split forces on both sides of this, whatever side I'm attacking, the other side will either have to turn and come across, or if they start advancing to whatever token resistance I have, they're going to have to then turn and come through this choke point, and that will be a natural place I can try to stop them, or at least delay them, whichever way they're coming. I rolled 5 for my scrying gem, so I did very well there, forcing him to place quite a few units, maximum units, I think 3+1, which is excellent. And here's the overview of the finality of deployment. And as I had hoped, he has 2 force packages, one on the right, my right, one on the left. We'll go a little closer in detail. I had originally thought about trying to deploy over here heavy first. But actually, I think it worked, because if you look on this side, you do have some issues. Here's a forest. Here's a forest. This is his Abyssal Horseman, his Succubi, his Larva, and one of his giant things. I already forgot what they're called. But with this forest and this forest, while I have a lot of room to maneuver, I'm going to have a hard time with some of these flanking elements drawing a line of sight to get the long flank charges in. Whereas over here, line of sight's a lot more open, but there's less room to maneuver, and I'd be smashing into him. So that's why he started putting a lot of beef down on this side, and I very quickly swarmed over to my right here. And you can see I'm pretty overwhelming against him. Now I just have to hold off this side enough turns to kill us over here. So we'll zoom in a bit. So this is on my right, what he's got, his Abyssal Horseman, his Succubi. This is the Efreet, one of his 2 giant things. This is his Abyssal Warlock. Has Bane Chant and Fireball, I believe. And then the Legion of Larvae. If you look, I mean, these aren't the greatest photos, but Henry is an excellent, excellent painter who's won many awards, and he was very apologetic for having this Legion blank. He's you know, I've got the models, I'm starting to paint them, but I just wanted to try them out, and look, this guy's not painted. It's like, dude, it's okay. It's fine. No one's going to accuse you of, slacking on hobbying. So Henry, if you're watching, it was fine. No problem. So I think I can pretty well overwhelm this side. I just have to make sure he doesn't tie me up because of terrain. And, yeah. This side has a little bit more. The lower Abyssals, these are Molochs, I guess. The other giant thing, the troop of gargoyles, and then the Archfiend character dude. So this is a little more worrisome because they've got a little bit more speed. These Molochs aren't very fast, but the 2 flyers are over here. So these guys could theoretically reposition to come over to the half I'm going to attack pretty well. So I gotta see if I can somehow tie these guys up for a few turns. On my left, opposing all of this, I've got a regiment of rabble here with the scrying gem and 2 mincers. And actually, the mincers are good for tying up certain units. It's weird. If you look at my list, I've got the wizard with inspiring talisman, and in my brain, I always think this wizard is going to somehow be sticking around with some of my slower dismounted units. But then as I start deploying, I realize this is going to be my sacrificial side. It's like, well, why would I put the inspiring wizard over here to be sacrificed? Why don't I just put him with where the fighting is, where his Bane Chant and lightning and stuff to actually help? So these guys will have a better chance of stalling if they have inspiring, but I don't know if I want to invest the points in just a throwaway inspiring character. So they're on their own. The other nice thing about the mincer is this little hole here where he can try to come through is pretty narrow. So if he tries to come through, I can flank charge with the mincer potentially. Or he can come at me, but then he's wasting time coming deeper into my zone. And I'm okay if he grabs one objective, or even this one up here. I just want to get the middle one and the other 2 on the right. The other nice thing is if the flyers come in here, especially if I back this guy up a bit, or this guy where he's positioned now, if he charges in with the flyers and kills one of these guys, he can reform, but then he won't be able to see over this obstacle, so he won't be able to flank charge me right. He'll have to waste another turn flying over the obstacle, or this impassable terrain. So that's the hope. We'll see how it plays off, whatever. All right, the middle of my line, the other regiment of rabble here is great because you can place them in the middle early in my deployment, and then I can shuttle them to whatever side I need to, and they'll make a perfect stopgap to just hold up stuff in this middle if they come down and try to cross over. The 2 sniffs, I wasn't quite sure where to put them, but if I'm going to focus on the right side, this is the clearest path for shooting, so I figured here would be good. Or if I need to, they can readjust to the left and shoot at stuff as it comes across. This is my king with mace on a chariot. My horde of Fleabag riders with the boots. I'm hoping they can just kind of inch up a little bit, get into this terrain, and then see pretty much everything at that point. That way. Here's the fly get with the loot. A mincer, because again, I'm just trying to spread things out at first. So I deployed a mincer on the one side, deployed a mincer on the other side, and then when I realized which side I was going to be sacrificing stuff on, I threw the other sacrificial mincer on the left because, with defense 6, with the big shield and dash 11 nerve, it can actually take a couple turns to kill if you don't hit it with something pretty tough. This is my other king. I haven't actually finished, or I couldn't find my chariot, so he's actually on like a blaster model with just a hero on top. He's got the Blade of the Beast Slayer. You can see a regiment of Fleabag riders with Potion of the Caterpillar. My horde of rebel. My Pipes of Terror regiment of Fleabags. And this is my wizard with Inspiring and Bane Chant. And you can see, okay, you got the mincer here, you've got the rabble, so at least a couple slow elements, maybe from to inspire, but my opponent doesn't have a lot of range or speed, so I don't really need to inspire them right now. Unfortunately, despite this being an objective game, I would have liked to have gone first just to start trying to box my opponent in. My opponent got to go first, though. And as you can see on the left here, well, pretty much all across the board, he advanced. He advanced with his Abyssal Riders here in range of my horde of cavalry here. And I think he was unsure of their speed and everything. So he moved up, and he said he thought they were out of range. I said, well, these guys are speed 10. So he measured, saw they were in range, said, well, they'll be hindered. I said, no, they got the boots. It's like, And then he said, I think it's okay. I think what he was expecting was I'll charge in, probably fail to kill them, and then he could flank charge with his fiends here, or what I call succubi. Because they were just barely within 20. So these guys were in range, but my chariot king and stuff were not. So these guys advance. Obviously, the larvae move up as far as they can, so they can try to tie stuff up. And these guys are moving up as much as they can as well. Here's his flying guy and his gargoyles. His lightning bolt, Abyssal Fiend, Archfiend character dude, puts 2 wounds on his rabble and wavers them. So, not a huge thing, but they were going to try to move forward. So, actually, it might not be so bad if he's going to have to come and kill them. He's going to have to come way to the very end of my board, so it might be okay. So, on my turn, you can see I'm already trying to move and set up flanks. This king, there's a lot of traffic jam. The king actually couldn't move to get a good angle, so he just kind of moved up here to inspire in case he's a freet and this giant move over to flame something. So he won't be able to charge next turn, but he's working the flanks, I guess. The horde charges in here, and then to protect my flank, this unit of sniffs was actually in range to charge the succubi. They're not going to kill him, obviously, but with vicious, and they've only got defense 3, I'm able to put a few wounds on them, and I think with my horde of riders here, 28 attacks hitting on 4s because of Strider, so 14 hits. Thunderous 1, and I've got my 2 Banechant people in range, so I should be able to Banechant them. So now I'm wounding on 3s, and I've got Vicious, and I've got the Maw Pups. I'm pretty sure I can get 14 or so wounds, and that should be plenty to knock those guys out. And then everyone else just kind of moves up to support and set up for the next round, the next wave. On the left, I don't do much. I just kind of move the mincers a bit. I turn him, so if something flies into the front of this mincer, he can advance and clear the corner and then support with a countercharge. But they're just waiting to try to pull him in and waste time for these guys. And in the middle, the rabble just moves up. They're not at risk. They may engage this way, but their primary thought right now is to hold these guys up as they come through. And both my Banechants failed. So actually my horde was unsupported. But the Maw Pups, I think, and you'll see in my comments at the very end of the game, I think the Maw Pups are well worth it. They do 2 or 3 wounds maybe, and that in melees, when it's desperate and important to win right away, every point of damage counts, and Vicious plus the Maw Pups, it gives you a reliable couple of extra wounds, and that makes a big difference. So I knocked these guys out. The Ifrit just fell over. He's not actually dead. I did, I think, 3 wounds on the succubi. Yeah, not great, didn't stop him or anything, but I don't know, what's a 5 over here? Maybe I did 5 wounds. I don't know. I may have done a few wounds. Regardless, it wasn't enough to stop him or anything. Yeah, actually, the dice, if you look, he uses these cards. I shot the succubi over here, or the larva, so he's got 1 wound there. These guys, I think, have 3. Yeah, 1, 2, 3. Turn 2, top of the second turn. Again, on the left, he keeps moving up, and that's fine. It's taken 2 turns. He hasn't actually engaged anything, so we'll just keep stalling. On this side, the larvae move forward. Succubi countercharge. The Ifrit moves up to flame these guys, and this giant, I think initially he wanted to countercharge with both the succubi and the giant into the sniffs, but he couldn't hit with the succubi, move to the side where the succubi are supposed to end up, and then still have room to maneuver. This base is just too big. And with the pivot, he only gets 1. So instead, he decided he's just going to flame the sniffs. And he's got the Ifrit here, or not Ifrit, the Abyssal Warlock. So he may Banechant these guys, but he may also Fireball. So he's got some options. He lightning bolted I believe my front one actually, and did 1 damage on the mincer, but no problem. He can take it. His succubi have no problem chopping up my sniffs, and his Fireball 15, and I don't know where the giant creature went, but it fireballed here as well. They only did 5 damage. The Ifrit rolled pretty poorly, so I lucked out there a little bit. But they're nerve 1921, so I mean I wasn't worried about them getting killed, but I was expecting them to take a little bit more damage. So my turn, bottom of 2. The Horde here just countercharges the Efreet. Might as well clear him out. Actually, if I go back, you can see the Potion of the Caterpillar guy is here. They can charge in and hit the Succubi, and it's going to be unhindered, but of course they've got Ensnare, so they're still going to be penalized. They charge in. The Horde of guys charges in. They're hindered, unfortunately, because the boots are only good for 1 use. But it's a character, so hopefully we can kill it anyway. And I've got Bane Chant here in my wizard, and Bane Chant... I'm not sure where my flag get with the loot is, but he's got to be around here somewhere. And these guys, again, are kind of traffic jammed up. I couldn't fit this unit through. This guy didn't have line of sight to get because he was facing the wrong way last turn, so it's a bit of a cluster. This army is nice, it's fast, it hits fairly hard, but it's a lot of traffic jam problems if there's terrain around. The larva, because it moved up, actually exposed its flank to my rabble regiment here. They're not great, but at least they won't be ensnared and they get some extra attacks. And I gotta try to finish them off. They're just in the way, so I just combo charge with the rabble, the sniffs, and the king on chariot. And this mincer's kind of moving up to help out as well. He's got line of sight, so maybe in the future he might be able to contribute. He'll be hindered, but whatever. So over here, I was concerned if this mincer was here anymore. A, he'd get flanked and shot in a more vulnerable side. But B, I was concerned that if his flyers charged in, they could kill it and they would be able to pivot and have a clear line to see. So instead, I just charged him forward to see what is he going to do. How's he going to... It could chaff up a lot of units if he wants to try to fight it in melee. And if he wants to try to fight this thing with his flyers... Oops. If he wants to charge my mincer down here with his flyers, again, he'll charge in. Even if he kills it, what's he going to do? Advance forward and not see anything? Back up and not see anything? Or turn and not see anything? It's going to just waste another turn for him to fly over and then get line of sight. And the rabble, whatever, will charge forward. Maybe he'll charge in with his flyers and waste a turn over here fighting him. 12 damage on the larvae, so my guys did okay last turn, but obviously not enough to kill him. I believe... Oh, wait. This is turn 2B. Oh, okay. So, yeah, this is just me still moving forward. Still my turn. This is the damage. I think we had 1 damage for my shooting last turn, so he got him to 12. 11 points of damage over here is good, but they're fine. The cavalry charged in and managed to kill the succubi, which is great. The Efreet is dead, which is good as well. So now all he's got over here is these heavily damaged larvae, his Abyssal Warlock, and this giant guy. And I've got a lot. I just have to make sure I can actually get stuff in to fight him instead of getting in my own way. Top of 3. He uses his Healing Brew and heals off 2 wounds and countercharges my king on chariot. The giant creature here charges into my slightly damaged horde of riders and kind of clears him up a little bit. He's not really in the line of sight for a lot of things. Over here, the giant charges into the rabble. These 2 flyers charge into my mincer. And you can see here, the Molochs and the lesser Abyssals charge into the mincer. Not looking good for any of them. This guy only takes 2 wounds. The gargoyles don't have crushing or anything, so they have a hard time. And this character only has crushing 2. I mean, hits on 3s with I can look right here, 7 attacks. So really, 7 attacks, 5 hits, and he's only wounding on 4s. So yeah, actually, it's about what you'd expect. And this thing is fine. So that's great. That'll hold things up for another turn. These guys did not hold anything up. But, it pulled the lesser Abyssals over here. Instead of if they'd moved forward, they'd be a smidge ahead maybe. So, and we've got the faster, more killy unit in the back behind him now. So how's he going to get through? And this guy is, again, also behind everybody. So hopefully I can now jam him up here, keep the lower Abyssals stuck in the front, and hinder everybody else. So turn 3B, top or bottom of 3, my turn. This is kind of how the board stands overall. While I keep talking about blocking here, I don't actually have anything over here to block yet. I could turn this rabble regiment around, but they've got the best position to try to help kill this larvae legion. So I'm thinking, okay, whatever. I don't have to stop them right here. I could charge with this guy. With these guys assisting, I can probably kill this legion this turn, and then at the bottom of 4, after they kill it, this regiment can turn around and they can move over here and start slowing them down. I got plenty of stuff over here to kill this giant, so I got to start swinging out behind and either coming around the backside to threaten these guys, and there's an objective right over here, so maybe I can grab it, force him to protect it, or start swinging around, and then if his flyers start coming through, I've got protection, so wherever they go, I can counter. This mincer actually is kind of the odd man out. I don't really need him to charge into the larvae. I don't need him to charge into here. I don't need him to cover this objective. I got a horde over here, which can take several turns of hits from these guys. So I think, what do I need the most? I need to tie up stuff here. The rabble's only going to be able to do it probably for a turn. So I can start moving him over, and maybe by the time the rabble gets hit, which will be in 2 turns, he can pivot and move once, pivot move again. When the rabble's dead, maybe the mincer can run or charge in and hold them up again. That's a thought, at least. The rider horde here, they took a few wounds, up to 9 from the giant, but they're fine. They countercharge. They don't countercharge, I guess it's a fresh charge, so it's in the flank, and then that means that the regiment of riders is back here, can now charge in as well. My king's moving around. This is the unit that was here. They'd killed the succubi. They just move forward and turn around. We, again, like I said, charge over here again, flanking with the rabble. So hopefully we can get a few more wounds on these guys and knock them out. There you go. And I can Bane Chant if needed. And swarming that guy. My initial thought was, oh, I'll charge the gargoyles here. I can possibly kill them and then face this demon dude and he'll attack me. And then I thought, well, realistically, he's smart enough. If I do that, he may just fly the demon dude over and have this giant come over here and kill my mincer. So the more important thing is to stop this guy. So I charged him, even if I don't kill him, which I won't, at least ground him, and that'll just waste another turn of him. And I don't care if these gargoyles fly over, they're much easier to handle. So countercharge the giant, or the character Abyssal Fiend guy. And cleanup goes okay over here. We killed the giant thing. We put a lot of wounds on the larvae, but I don't know, their nerves like -27 or something, so they're fine. We get them to 19, but it's not enough. This guy has the Inspiring Talisman, so they're still inspired. So unfortunately, we're not going to be able to turn, well, we can potentially turn these guys around next turn, but they won't be able to move. So that's a bit of a bummer. And we do 2 wounds in this blurry photo to his nicely painted but poorly photographed Abyssal Fiend character dude. That's all I need. Just needed to ground him. So turn 4A, top of 4. You can see these guys are moving quickly over here now. It would have been nice to have my regiment of goblins turned around to deal with it, but they aren't. I do have this guy grounded, so he's just going to countercharge into my mincer. And he did what I was afraid he would do, which I think was the right decision, and just flew the gargoyles over to start threatening the flanks of things, and just give him some options. The larvae countercharge my king again. He's not the softest target, That'd be the sniffs here, but I'm not sure why he picked the king, but he did. Obviously, second time's a charm, I guess. The mincer is gobbled up. And he wavers my king, put 5 wounds on him. So, it's not so bad. I've seen worse. So this is the end of the turn here. These guys, my horde here, just killed the giant thing last turn. So they're already lined up for a flank charge on these things. So bottom of 4, that's what they do. They flank charge. I figure that'll be plenty to just get a handful of wounds and knock them out. That means this regiment can charge into the caster. And this guy had line of sight to the caster as well. So I figure, okay, maybe we'll combo charge the caster, kill the caster, and then I can turn around. I back the sniffs off, and I'm going to have them shoot the gargoyles. And if everything goes according to plan, which it never does, but I'm actually, this isn't a terrible position, but it's kind of precarious. If I can shoot and kill these gargoyles, or even waver them, but hopefully kill them with the sniff shooting, the next turn, those abyssals are still kind of back here a ways. So even if they move up a little bit, they can't. I don't think they can march. I think they're gonna have to just move and turn again. I can chaff them up with the mincer, the sniffs, or these guys. If we kill the creature here, we'll have turned around, and then they can start moving back, or maybe even charge. So I got some options to chew them up, and you can see I've got a regiment of flea bags and the king on chariot with the blade of the beast slayer starting to move around the back here to maybe contest or grab this objective token. That's how everything stands after movement. And yep, these guys kill the larvae legion. It says 2 wounds there. Let's see if that goes away. Nope, apparently not. So apparently we didn't do that many wounds to this creature. So their wizard caster dude is alive. So my poor regiment here, once again, is going to be problematic because they're not going to be able to turn around. The shooting from the sniffs did take out the gargoyles, though. So at least they're gone, and I can try to chaff up his lower abyssals next turn. And you can see top of 5. Yep, the lower abyssals come through. Giants behind them. And the character fiend flies over the rock. And the Molochs, seeing this stuff coming around the back end, turn and move up. They're on top of that objective now. And there's an obstacle they're straddling as well. And if you notice, my sniffs are not here, and there's 12. Between the breath weapon and the lightning, those sniffs got nuked. So that's one less unit to chaff with. But it's okay. I've got the mincer still. The king on chariot's expendable at this point. He can charge in. And hopefully, by that time, if we kill this thing, these guys will be available as well. I am a little worried about him, because next turn he can charge anything over here. Bottom of 5, mincer charges in. The king moves up right behind with a little bit of space. So he can kind of stay in the forest. He can still inspire, but because he's exactly lined up, I don't think this flying creature can charge him. These guys, again, charge this caster. I'm hoping if we kill him, the rabble can turn around and not get rear or flank charged. These guys will also have to be able to, if they kill it, will have to turn and face down. Otherwise, he'll have line of sight to the flank, and he'll be able to fly over and flank charge him, which would be bad. I charge my king with the blade of the beast slayer into these Moloch guys. I don't know what he's planning on doing with them. He gets the bonus, so he's going to be wounding him on 2s. I don't think I'm going to kill him, but I might hold him up. I don't know if he's thinking about coming over. I'd be happy with him just sitting there. I can hold this token. He can hold that one. He doesn't have anything on the far one on the left. He's just moving across here, so my goal is to swarm the middle here and hold these 2. And then I've got just a rabble horde holding this third one. Yep, there he is, charging in valiantly. Mincer does okay. Put 6 wounds on the lower Abyssals. It doesn't matter. They can regenerate. They've got the stupid imp, and I'm not trying to kill them. In fact, in some ways, I guess it'd be okay to kill it. They probably are more dangerous than this giant thing, but realistically, I just want them stuck here holding everything up. He does great on the rolls to wound. I think he actually had like 6. Yeah, I think he had 6 hits. 7 attacks hitting on 4. He had 6 hits. And then he rolled 3 1s and 3 2s. So a great start, a mediocre, poor finish. But again, it doesn't matter. He wasn't going to kill him. He's going to die. But he'll fulfill his role. Top of 6. His regenerating sacrificial imp thing, he heals all but 1 wound. He charges his character into... These guys did kill the caster, as you can see, so both of these regiments face down. He thought about charging the horde. They've got 9 wounds, but he's still got to get up to 19, 21, whereas you guys are only 12, 4. So he's hoping he can kill them. So he charged in there. Okay, I had to decipher here. This is the bottom of 6. So he charged in, did some wounds, but did not kill this regiment. My king on the left did die horribly. I think he fireballed my king over here, but didn't kill him. And he charged my mincer with his abyssals and lower abyssals and didn't kill it either. So now I'm just swarming the center. I rush in with the king. These guys flank charge the character Abyssal Fiend. This regiment is just chilling here. Actually, these guys, this regiment got flamed by this guy, and they're wavered. That's why that's there. And I charge this regiment into these guys, A, to hurt them, and B, just to hold them up. So again, if it goes in their turn, they'll be stuck here instead of being able to come over here and do something. I think. Yeah, I'm not sure what I was thinking. I could have just sat back here. But if I get lucky, I'll kill him, and I can claim this one as well. And actually, this charge is a little problematic because I charge into the flank, but that means I have to abandon this objective. So actually, I don't have this one anymore. I've got 1 totally secure. There's no way he can get this one because I've got so many that's around it. And 2 over the side here. He's got just this 1 at this point. He's way too far from this one, and this one's abandoned as well. So that's kind of why I figured I could afford to charge over here. If the game ends at the bottom of 6, I've still got 2, and if it goes to 3, I can easily claim this one again. And we kill the character. We put a few wounds on these Molochs, but not enough. And I don't know if I completely whiffed, but it doesn't look like I did anything to these lower Abyssals, which is fine. And the game ended there. Actually, it did go to a 7th turn, but looking at how everything was, he knew there was no way he could actually get another one or deny another one to me. So we called it, but realistically, at the end of 7, I would either back these guys up or move these guys over. I would have claimed this one. So I gave myself credit for it. Goblin victory, 3-1 objectives. Not bad for my first 3rd edition game. Game went pretty much as I had hoped it would, with the overwhelm the right and stall his left, or, well, his forces on my left. Lessons learned. I think my opponent was surprised. Even though I said what they had, and actually, I don't think I put it on here. When I was explaining what my units had, these my Fleabag Riders are speed 10. Even kind of giving me a heads up because he thought they were only speed 9. He moved into range. He said they were out. I said, no, they're speed 10. It's like, oh, okay. I told him the stats. I didn't mention that they had the Maw Pups. You're used to just kind of saying, this is a unit. It's got this magic item. It didn't even cross my mind to mention that they had Maw Pups. I don't know if that would have made a difference in his thought process of leaving those Abyssal horsemen in range or not. I don't think it would have. I think he was thinking of Fleabag Riders from second edition, not being quite as tough. So I think that surprised him quite a bit. But yeah, they are, especially the hordes, can be pretty nasty. And that was even with both my casters failing Banechant on him. If they had gotten Banechant, they would have completely wrecked that unit. I don't think Maw Pups would be useful on like the fleet, the rabble or something. I mean, those guys aren't putting out very many wounds to begin with, but the Fleabag Riders and things put out a decent amount of wounds. And it's one of those things, they have the capability of killing something right away if they, in the initial charge, if they get some help. Maw Pups give a little bit of help. Brutal gives a little bit of help. The Vicious gives a little bit of help. Banechant gives a little bit of help. And if you can add a couple of those in, suddenly you're deleting units on the initial charge, and that makes a huge difference in this game. So I think they're certainly useful there, at least based off of my vast experience of one game using this in 3rd edition. I think my thought was I would put the Potion of the Caterpillar on a regiment of Fleabags, because then they could fly up the flank, they could maneuver more freely and get to flanks and rears better, maybe threaten war machines, which might be a problem. And the Boots of Striding would be better on the Horde, because they could get their one big initial charge off and delete whatever I was most afraid of in the enemy army. It didn't work out that way at all in this battle. Yeah, they charged in and nuked that one unit, but then they're 1921. They got decent survivability, especially if you're screening them with stuff. They charged every turn that game thereafter, and every charge was hindered. And they're putting out more wounds, more attacks than anything else I've got. Banechanting them makes the most sense because they're putting out so many attacks. They've got Vicious. They're still one of my most killy units, even if they're hindered. I should have put the Potion of Caterpillar on them, and then all those subsequent charges are just not hindered anymore. They might get Thunderous Charge. Just so much better. And the Boots of Striding, I'll put on a regiment, and it's fine. They can help out with one big charge. Maybe if I combo charge them with the other Fleabags that have the Pipes of Terror, try to set it up where the Pipes of Terror guys charge unhindered and the Strider guys charge in the hindered area. Whatever. If you notice, I didn't shoot much with my sniffs. They shot once and killed the gargoyles, and I guess I shot and put one wound on the larvae. I used them more as chaff. I don't think at this point I'm at the point where I'm just going to delete them from the army. This is just one battle. This army that I was fighting didn't have a lot of chaff to screen them, where I think these sniffs would be useful in trying to clear that so I can do my bigger alpha strikes. So I'm going to try these guys out for a few more games and see, but I was surprised they didn't shoot at all. They were just screens. And if I'm going to do that, there are better options to pick. In this game, the Banechant from the Wiz was okay. His Inspiring was not okay because he didn't need it. Again, just a one-game kind of thing to look at, so it may not be worth considering, but it's something I'm going to keep an eye on in the future. I may drop Inspiring and give him the Boomstick or something, and then give him a little extra range support to help clear, again, chaff if it comes up, or look at something completely different. So, there you go. Lessons learned. Good first start. Good start on my super mobile, annoying goblin list. We will see how it does in the future, and I've got a couple other potential experimental goblin lists I'm thinking through. So, good to be back. Good to be playing. Good to have 3rd edition. And let me know what you think in the comments.